Hello, I'm Dr. Missick. I'm running for Texas State Representative, HD18, which is Liberty, San Jacinto, East Montgomery County, and Hardin counties. And we're a week into early voting. And I want to encourage you to go out and vote. We can win this thing. And one thing that kind of trolls me going out there is that there aren't that many people voting. And that's convenient for you. If you haven't voted yet, if you don't want to stand on a long line, then what you need to do is vote now. And I've seen it where there's actually more people outside, I guess 100 feet from the entrance to the poll booths, campaigning, people on the campaign teams out there in the little tents, than there are actually voting. And this is bad, because this is a pivotal election, and we've got to win this thing. And Ernest Bales has to be defeated, and I believe he is going to be. And I want you to vote for the best candidate. Don't believe the self-serving statements of Janice Holt. You need to vote for me because I have the best chance to win. Vote for the best candidate. Vote for the person who's most qualified. And I want to make a comment about something. Just yesterday, Governor Abbott was here in Cleveland. Now, why did Governor Abbott come to Cleveland? Imagine that. The governor coming, he's going to be here in this House District 3 times because he knows that Janice Holt doesn't have it in the bag. This is a pivotal election. That's why he's here. He understands how serious this election is, and he wants Ernest Bales out because Ernest Bales is a Democrat that runs on the Republican ticket. And one of the strangest things that I saw, I went to see the governor at Janice Holt's event in Lumberton. I happened to be doing a radio interview in the morning, so I decided to go and see the governor. She invited me anyway, so I said, well, why not? I've seen the governor once before. So I went to Cleveland as well. I didn't go and see the governor this time. What's the point? So I was out there, and this is the strangest thing. I've been talking to people who are opposed to Ernest Bales, and they agree with me. This is like some kind of religious cult. So we were talking about this, and there were actually Bales protesters. There's probably 12 or so people that came in Bales t-shirts to protest the governor's appearance, to protest Janice Holt. I've never seen anything like that before. Now, sometimes some left-wing organization or Democrats might protest a Republican event, but so-called Republicans, or they're actually Democrats, that's why they're doing it, protesting the Republican governor. That's the strangest thing I've ever seen. So that means they're also afraid. Bales' people are afraid that they're going to lose this. And so anyway, I was talking to some friends from Shepherd out there, and we mentioned that these are like cult followers out there. And one of these protesters got mad, and he came to debate us. Oh, you're saying I'm a cult follower. I'm not a cult follower. And I talked about Colony Ridge. Well, Bales isn't totally responsible for that. What about HB 4341? He couldn't respond to that. And he goes, well, I'm from Tarkington, and we don't want that, we don't want Torrentos, Houston, and Tarkington. So, well, it's coming. It's coming. Well, I'm still voting for Ernest Bales. So your community is going to be destroyed. You're going to be run out of your community. You're going to watch crime and poverty infest and dominate. This is going to fester and take over like a cancer. Tarkington, we know what's going to happen. We see what's going on in Plum Grove. And you're going to vote for that because, you don't care how much harm comes. You're so insanely devoted to Ernest Bales. That's a cult. These Ernest Bales Kool-Aid drinkers. This is the Jim Jones mentality, where here's the Kool-Aid. It's your own death. He's introducing policies that not only hurt our community, but could lead to the deaths of people and their families. We already had this crazed murderer going around killing men, women, and children. Right now, it's illegal, mostly illegal on illegal violence. But what happens when it spills over? These people are so crazed that they don't care about their own safety. They don't care about the life and safety of their own children. They're going to vote them some Ernest Bales. They're going to drink that Kool-Aid to their own death and destruction. But I'm hoping that there's enough sane people out there who aren't in the Jim Jones, Ernest Bales cult who will take a stand and do what's right and vote this joker out of office now before it's too late. It's a cult. And I believe that we're going to defeat Bales. But it's so bizarre. I've never seen, except in religious cults, this kind of insane devotion. And what's bad about it, as I said, is Ernest Bales is hurting our community. And these people, these fanatics, even though he's hurting them, not only is he hurting the community as a whole, he's hurting them personally, and yet they're still going to vote for him. But these people are maniacs. There's nothing we can do for them. But there's enough people out in this House district who don't know Ernest Bales, who don't care one way or the other, that will vote, and we'll vote them out. But we have to mobilize these people, and we got to get them to vote. So vote for me. What's wrong with Janice Holt? The governor, honestly. I've actually gotten in trouble with the military. It's like, oh, you criticized the governor. You shouldn't do that. It's like, well, I did that as a civilian. Well, but still, how dare you? He's the commander-in-chief. And I voted for Governor Abbott, and I realized that he's not totally bad, but we need somebody who's not as timid and more forceful than Governor Abbott. And the fact of the matter, Michael Berry said this on the radio, the criticism that Michael Berry levies against Governor Abbott is valid. Governor Abbott is not a courageous, take charge kind of governor. He kind of sticks his finger in the wind to see which way the wind is blowing. He's a little timid. And we need somebody that's going to go out there and fight on principle. And Governor Abbott's not that person, unfortunately. And the other thing that Michael Berry said that's totally correct is that Governor Abbott has the administrative power to enforce the law and hold Colony Ridge accountable. But he hasn't done it. There's no reason for him to punt Colony Ridge to the Texas State Legislature when he has the authority invested in him by the Texas Constitution. He's the executive branch in Texas. He's supposed to execute the law, and they're in violation of the law in Colony Ridge, and he should use this authority to exercise control and accountability, and to protect Texas and our community. He should be doing that at the border, and he's not enough anyway. And he's not protecting us against Colony Ridge, and he has the power to do that. I want to encourage you to listen to the audio recording of Ernest Bales and Dr. Wolf, the audio confession, which is on this channel. And some of the things that Ernest Bales says are shocking and appalling, but he mentions how that John and Trey Harris paid a large amount of money to sit down and have dinner with Governor Abbott. And they weren't just talking about the weather and things like that. This is a policy meeting. And it was followed up by $1 million in campaign donations. And I believe that we need to ask Governor Abbott, what did he take this meeting? Is that true? Is Ernest Bales telling the truth about this? I fear he is. And I suspect he is. And I think that we need to call on Governor Abbott to return the monies given to him by Harris Brothers, because it has the appearance of impropriety. And we need, and as long as Ernest Bales is the Texas State Legislature, he's going to protect, as he has during his whole time in office, he's going to protect John and Trey Harris and the Colony Ridge disaster. And as I mentioned before, I campaigned against Colony Ridge last time I ran. Janice Holt didn't say anything about it. And now it's become an issue. It's been on the news. She's trying to exploit that. And this is in my backyard. Janice Holt, I pastor and live Shepherd's about 20, 30 minutes from Colony Ridge. My church is like 5 to 10 minutes from Colony Ridge that I pastor. I've been tracking the issue since it started becoming a problem. I've been in the Colony Ridge location several times, so I'm tracking this issue. This is my community. Janice Holt lives an hour and a half away, around an hour and 15 minutes. We need a local to deal with the biggest issues we have in this House district, which is a local issue for us in San Jacinto and Liberty County, Colony Ridge. And somebody that's going to be able to stand up on behalf of the people against the governor, and not someone who's kind of bought off. It looks like I hope it's not true. It looks like Governor Abbott's been bought off by John and Trey Harris, and it could be that Janice Holt is bought off by the governor. So we need somebody who's going to stand up for the people, stand up for the rule of law, and work to close down and stop Colony Ridge, and if possible, stand up against the governor in the interest of the people, in the interest of what's right. So we need to vote. Now, the polls are open. The big day is March 5th. Please, whatever you do, vote. Get out and vote. Vote for me. Vote for real change. Vote for somebody who's going to make things happen. Don't vote for an establishment person, a swamp creature, or a rhino. And this is an important election. We can win this, but we need to take action. And it's disheartening to see so few people actually voting. I really believe that Ernest Bells is going to be voted out of office. But what do you do when you go to the polls and nobody's voting? We can't have apathy. We can't have indifference. We have to be willing to go out and actually vote. It's easy. Like I said, there's no long lines right now. Just go in there and vote. We need to defeat Ernest Bales in early voting and then have Election Day just be a mopping up operation. We've got to do this. I want to encourage you to vote. Also be informed. I'm going to put a voter's guide up, and I want to mention something else that's important about this election. This is a Christian voter's guide. If you go to my social media, I'll have this information out there. But what I think is important for people to do, this might seem kind of obscure, but it's very, very important. And Ken Paxton has been prosecuting voter fraud. And I think it's important to do that because if you prosecute voter fraud, people think twice about committing voter fraud. And that'll also restore people's confidence that the system's legit. It looks like there's so much voter fraud. We saw it in the last election cycle in Arizona. We saw it in Harris County. And we shouldn't have these shenanigans, these shady practices going on. And if they do go on, we need to make sure that these people are criminally prosecuted. So God bless Ken Paxton for prosecuting voter fraud. But what happened, unfortunately, is you have the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, and these people say that the Attorney General of the state of Texas cannot prosecute voter fraud issues, which is insane. So they defer back to the local area where the local politicians engage in it and profit by it. So it's absurd. The Attorney General does have and must have the right to prosecute voter fraud. So this is a decision from the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, and there's 3 candidates we need to vote for. We have David Schenck, Republican, who's recommended here. Gina Parker, I met her. She's a good woman. This is Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, place 7. And then Judge, Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, place 8. We have Michelle Slaughter. We need to get those people in there and get these people that made this awful decision out. We've got to clean up. I'm concerned about this. People have said, I haven't verified this, I need to look and do an investigation, but people said and suspect that Ernest Bells himself won office through voter fraud. And I don't know. I hope that if we show up, that we can win this. I'm sure they're going to try some kind of shenanigans. But that's an issue I think we should take very, very seriously. But no matter what, you need to go out and do your patriotic and civic duty and vote. So, early voting is all of this week. Early voting ends on March 1st. Election Day is March 5th. So please go out and vote. If you don't go out and vote, then we suffer the consequences. Go out and let your voice be heard. Vote for change. Vote for accountability. Vote against corruption. Vote for Dr. Stephen Missick on March 5th. Whatever you do, go vote and vote against Bales. We can defeat them and have a victory for Liberty, San Jacinto County, and all of HD 18. Thank you and God bless you.
Well, so Louis Bergman is his daughter is the DA, and his son-in-law is the constable over the area of mild developments. Great family, great people. As the governor, there's nothing he can do for me. My politics is on the county level. My politics is on the county level.
Drugs, crime, foreclosures. The Colony Ridge development is a huge problem. Even Representative Ernest Bales agrees.
Colony Ridge is a huge problem.
What Bales isn't telling you? He wrote the bill creating Colony Ridge and took thousands of dollars from its lobbyist. Now there's a federal investigation. For Texas, the bigger problem is Bales. It's time to bail on Bales. Early vote starting February 20th. Election day is March 5th.
Join in as we begin the victory.